Well, it's time now for a look at all today's newspapers around the world with our international press reviewer, Florence Fiminault, who joins me now. Hello, Florence.
Hi, Lorna.
So a lot of the international press, as the French press was, reacting to that European summit earlier this week. And we're going to start with a look at the German newspapers.
Die Welt, absolutely. Now, as we saw in the French press review, it's the hot topic in the international press. According to the editorial in Die Welt, Eurozone leaders made the right decisions, the decisions that needed to be made to save Greece, and the summit proved that in times of crisis, Europe is capable of working together. But, and this is the big but, the long night in Brussels was not the last act of the drama. The euro is not yet safe, and the main problem of the monetary union still remain to be solved. Another thing that Die Welt points out is that the summit is going to change the very core of the European Union. We saw that there was going to be more fiscal convergence, more budgetary union, and it also means that the cracks are starting to appear within the European Union between the 17 Eurozone countries and the remaining countries that aren't part of the Eurozone. And the Independent is also starting to see these cracks starting to appear in the EU. In their editorial, it says that there was more than just a bailout plan for the Eurozone that happened in Brussels. What was significant about the summit wasn't so much that the crisis was resolved, but what was said about Europe itself. According to the Independent, historic shifts are happening. The ground is shifting, especially for the UK, whose influence can only be diminished. According to the Independent, we're clearly going towards a two-speed union with these two blocks I was telling you about, the Eurozone countries and the non-Eurozone countries. And according to the Independent, Britain's place within it can only be marginalized. Now, sticking to the Independent, they have an interesting little piece that shows the big winners and the losers of the summit. It's very convenient, as you see. They have a little euro, what's called, they have a little symbols, thank you, symbols that kind of rate who are the big winners and who are the big losers. Now, according to the article, there aren't really any big winners. For instance, Angela Merkel, yes, she emerged triumphant, but domestically, her coalition may not hold up. Sarkozy, he tried to claim a lot of credit for the summit, but he suffered a string of tactical defeats in the face of Germany. However, what is clear is that there's one big loser, according to the Independent, and that's Greece. Greece is still the sick man in Europe. The summit only allowed it to get out of its deathbed.
Okay, well, moving slightly further afield, the non-EU press has also been covering the Eurozone summit. So we're going to have a look at some cartoons that they've come up with.
That's right. We're going to start with the International Herald Tribune with a cartoon that says that the new European anthem is "I Will Survive" by Gloria Gaynor, and there you see a lot of Sarkozy and Merkel boogieing along, as you said. Gulf News also has a cartoon about the summit. They call it Safe Landing, but it looks more like an emergency landing, actually, with the EU looking rather beat up on its landing there.
Okay. Well, moving away from the Eurozone, a lot of the international press is also focusing on Tunisia and what that victory by Ennahda, the Islamist party, might mean for the country and indeed for the wider region as well.
That's right. We're going to start by looking at Gulf News, which looks at this rise of political Islam. And it says that this is largely due to the fact that a lot of these Islamist parties suffered decades of persecution. Now, according to Gulf News, the West is reacting with alarm to this, as are a lot of people within the Arab world, for instance, feminists or religious minorities. But according to the Gulf News, all these fears are largely exaggerated and unfounded. Basically, these Islamist parties are basically answering to the wants of the people. Locals basically want jobs, a better future, and good governance that respects their traditions rather than a more Western-style democracy.
Okay, well, just finally time for rather a nice fiction to reality story based on the film Slumdog Millionaire.
Absolutely. His name is Sushil Kumar. He's a 27-year-old computer operator whose life has been turned upside down because he won one of the hit TV show that inspired Slumdog Millionaire. He's basically a millionaire, and he's from one of India's poorest states. What he wants to do is buy a new house for him and his family, and I guess his life has been turned upside down. It's funny how life can mimic art sometimes.
Indeed. What a lovely story. Well, good luck to him, and thank you very much, Florence, for taking us through all today's newspapers around the world.